Well, Cal, I hope you've cleared your calendar for the next, 5 years, because having a look at the FTP, the new FTP for Australia, it's a bit crowded.
Wow, isn't it? I mean, these cricketers are going to be run off their feet and they're going to be crying out for air because they will be drowning in cricket, and it'll just be a matter of when to rest and what game to miss. That'll be the most difficult thing for the regulars across multi-formats, but it's exciting. I mean, there's so much to like about the fixtures. It's a really exciting time, I think, when all of this stuff comes out, as we saw with the women's fixtures not that long ago. So it's an exciting time in cricket, no doubt about it.
It is. As I said, for the women's, it's a bit like Christmas morning. Anyway, let's get into it in a bit more detail. Let's roll the titles and we'll get on with the show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another special episode of Timed Out with Callum Ferguson joining me as ever as we look at the new schedule for the Australian men's teams. I should say we've had a look at the women's, and now it's time to look at the men's. Cal, I guess one of the things that stood out to me first and foremost, besides just how bloody crowded it is, interesting that India's series will now go to 5 tests instead of 4.
Oh, look, it's been a long time coming. It's great to see. We're excited. It's what we've been calling for a number of years now. It warrants it. Let's face it. Some of the clashes we've had, in both countries over the last couple of decades have been just extraordinary, and some of the very best cricket you'll have ever seen in the history of the game. So it deserves 5 tests, and we've got it, and now we're just really excited and cannot wait for it to kick off. There's no doubt.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Just, I guess, on that, mentioning India and then mentioning bringing England in with that as well, one of those two sides will be visiting Australia each summer every year in this FTP, and you assume if that's the direction they're going in, that's something that they want to keep going every year. So whether it's out in Australia for ODIs or T20s or Test series, who's going to be there? Is that too much of 2 teams, Cal, or is that a good thing?
No, it's a great thing. I'm excited by it. It's I think is a huge draw card and a huge coup for Cricket Australia, and Australia's fans. Getting the opportunity to see, two of the titans in international cricket coming to our shores to take on our guys every summer in a format or another. It's huge news, and certainly it's going to see a lot of eyes on Australian cricket and a lot of attention, certainly to those clashes. We know that the English and Indian fans over here, they turn up in droves, and it's exciting because we've had some seriously good cricket played between the 3 nations over the last 4 or 5 years. It's going to continue every summer, which is just about as good as you could have hoped for.
Well, it's also ensures, I guess, some regular big money coming in, because we know that those series do get a lot of money. Now, one thing that's talking about multi-formats, but Cal, something I'm not sure you'd be that happy about in the FTP is that we've seen an increase in the number of T20 internationals. So there's a few 5-match series now instead of what would normally have been 3. So I'm wondering if there might be a reduction in the amount of T20 internationals. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, clearly there's a lot of people that disagree with me on this one. I'm a firm believer that we need to be easing off the international T20s. I think there's so much domestic T20 cricket played around the world now. We need to free up time for Test cricket and obviously the ODI cricket as well, because we know how much TV broadcasters love the one-day game. So I feel like it's a step in the wrong direction in my eyes going down that path. I feel like T20s need to be, kept a bit boutique and a little bit like what you would see in, the international football game. You would see the international teams come together in the run into a big tournament, or for qualifying matches for a big tournament. And I feel like that's the way we've got to start looking at international T20 cricket. But I'm not going to see that happen anytime soon, unfortunately. I'm a little way off the mark. Some of the experts are telling me so.
I don't know. No, I'm actually I'm with you on that. About I don't know if that actually means anything because of that. All I can say is that there's just so much cricket, and I think when you spoke before about those multi-format players, I think we're going to see far fewer multi-format players in the future going ahead. Because there's no.
We've all seen it, haven't we? Well, we've got obviously Ben Stokes retiring from a format recently. There's going to be more. He's the tip of the iceberg. I think we're headed for the iceberg if we're not careful.
The iceberg. We're past the tipping point. I know that. So a couple of other things that are coming up. Unusual that the West Indies, who's in the current features with this summer, they're coming to Australia to play a couple of tests, but they're also kicking off the next cycle by coming out as well and playing 2 tests in January, February. In 23-24. Well, what do you make of that?
Yeah, I found it strange, particularly when, they're obviously organising the fixtures over the last sort of 6 to 12 months, maybe 18 months probably, where it's a controllable. We know what's coming up. We know what jigsaw puzzle pieces we've got to put together here. To have the West Indies coming back-to-back summers for Test cricket doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I would have thought you'd try and spread it out a little bit. It doesn't have to be this summer. It could have been the summer following, or take your pick. But look, it is what it is. I just find it unusual when it's just a controllable. It's something that you've got the ability to place wherever you like. It didn't make a lot of sense to me.
Well, when you look at the final one, the 26-27 summer, because Australia will be playing, they have a rescheduled test against Afghanistan in August, which is still winter, but sort of part of that summer, if you like. But they're playing 3 tests against New Zealand in December, January, and that will finish with the Sydney test in the new year. And then they're going to India in January to play 5 tests before returning to Australia and playing 2 tests against Bangladesh in March. So that is I can't recall Australia ever going and playing in another country in January and splitting the summer like that. It's a huge concession to make to the BCCI, isn't it, Al?
Yeah, that's my opinion. I'm blown away by that, but I think that shows the strength and the might of the BCCI these days. There wouldn't have been a nation that had been able to drag the Australian cricket team out of an Australian summer in living memory. So I find that maybe almost a flag in the ground moment for the BCCI. They've put their foot down and said this is happening, whether you like it or not. And look, to be honest, I don't think it's not a huge loss for Cricket Australia. I feel like it's still going to bring in a lot of broadcast money for CA. They'll get a cut out of that somehow. I've got no doubt, but it's certainly probably a little bit of a loss for the Australian fans to see the team leave the country at this stage of the summer, or that stage of the summer. But they'll see the Australians take on Bangladesh not long after in Australia. It'll be interesting to see where those fixtures end up. I dare say they'll probably be up north. That's where Cricket Australia have generally sent Bangladesh, but we'll wait and see. It's certainly a really interesting 26-27 season, though. Right? There's an enormous amount of cricket to be played through that period. Some amazing cricket to be played. We'll have to watch the India series on TV, no doubt. But to see Afghanistan coming, and then we'll still have obviously England coming because they come. The English or the Indians come to Australia every summer, as we mentioned earlier. But the New Zealand Test matches in December, January, they'll be big. We know how good New Zealand have been in all formats over the last 5-6 years. So that'll be a season to look forward to, 2026, 2027.
What it does mean, Cal, is that though that Test series being on in January, it means that none of the Australian players will be available for the Big Bash. Now, we know that is one of the things they were trying to do in this schedule was clear January of internationals after the Sydney Test had finished so that those players would all be available for the Big Bash. But they won't be available if they're going and playing in India, will they?
No, that's right, and that'll certainly weigh on the broadcasters' minds in the next deal, no doubt about it. Knowing that a fair chunk of their prime movers when it comes to playing talent are going to have to go to India, so that certainly will be a bit of a spanner. But again, we know the clout that the BCCI wields, so that. They probably didn't have much of a choice there, but certainly, for the most part, it looks like they've been able to clear a bit of a path for international players over the next few years. Certainly, South Africa dropping out of the ODI series after Christmas or after New Year this year has helped Cricket Australia out of a bit of a bind there, and it'll hopefully boost their selling power of the BBL to broadcasters going forward. But again, this issue is really of their own doing. They've created a tournament that's far too long, even though there were warning signs everywhere if they looked for them when they made the decision to go to 14 games. So, look, hopefully the fact that South Africa have pulled out is going to be the rabbit out the hat that helps get the BBL back on track, because we know what a great tournament it is when it's at its best. That's a few years away, and I'm hopeful that the common sense will prevail and we'll be able to shorten the tournament in years to come. I won't hold my breath though, Mel.
Yeah, anyone hoping for less cricket, not more, is, I don't know, I think it's not going to really happen. And one final point about the FTP is that there are matches scheduled away for Afghanistan and Ireland as well. Afghanistan coming to Australia, and an increased sort of focus, I think, on countries like Pakistan and Bangladesh, which I think Australia view those countries as real growth areas. Is this, do you think, they've been saying they want to be good global citizens, and they've said that has been a focal point of creating this FTP. They've had that very much in mind. Do you think with what you see here that Australia is turning around its image, I guess, as having been not a great global citizen in the past?
Oh, look, I think they are, but certainly I don't think that it's all about it's all give from Cricket Australia. No doubt they've still got to look after their own backyard, but certainly I'm excited as a cricket purist for Pakistan to come over. They're going to feature in Australia quite a bit over the next few summers, and I feel like they're a side that is on the up. They're starting to show some real ability across all three formats. Having spent some time over there with the Lahore Kalandars in the PSL, I saw the talent that's over there firsthand, and it's quite extraordinary what they've got at their disposal from a natural talent point of view. And it feels like they're starting to become far better at canvassing the country for the talent and then developing it. And we're starting to see it bear fruit. So it's exciting times for Pakistan cricket, and I'm excited that we're going to see them over here in these conditions, because I've got no doubt their fast bowlers will enjoy bowling in this country as they gain experience, and they're going to be a challenge, no doubt about it, in the coming years across all three formats.
Yeah, it's extremely exciting to see them coming over, and hopefully we won't see other tours called off. Obviously, the Afghanistan matches will be subject to higher political decisions, I guess, that are made after their test was cancelled last year against Australia.
Yes.
So I think we'd all love to see that happen, and Australia play Afghanistan more often. So much in there. I'm still trying to get my head around it all, Cal, but it's been great to chat about it with you. We're going to have a lot to talk about.
We are. It's exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. So whatever you're doing out there, we know we haven't covered the other countries as well, apart from what they've done with Australia, but lots of news, lots to digest. Let us know what you think about the FTP, and we will keep our eye across it all, and we'll see you back here for another episode of Timed Out very soon. Thanks, Cal.
Thanks, Mel. See you soon, guys.